welcome to the Entrapment Fan Tournament. 4 teams are competing for the title and each of them will be playing a game against one another. The first game is about to begin, so let's take a look at who's playing. The Roleplayers will be playing with Zorok and StealthStrike. Zorok of course was a runner-up of the 2017 Entrapment Championships, but will they be able to repeat their success 4 years later? And on the other side we have the Stroopwafels entering the arena with MineCrp, vegguid and veghelgumi. They are with more players in this match, but will it be enough to take on the Roleplayers? These two teams will be battling it out on the Death Ridge arena by Viliam and Vadocz, who will be the winner of the first ever game of the Entrapment Fan Tournament. For the past few rounds, StealthStrike has been digging little holes underground like this one. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be used for something, like a trap in the future. He does appear to be using the dirt now to make a little pillar next to spawn. And Zorok is cooking up some iron. Both teams have been just gathering resources for the past few rounds. You can see in the top left corner the spawn safety is ticking down. The timer is now at 0, the red one. Which means that the road border is now coming into the spawn zone. This means that anyone who's still stuck there has to get out. But of course, we're very early on in the game and that isn't really a problem yet. The little pillar that the StealthStrike made is now an arch. It's not entirely visible from the spawn zone. It's a little block off. So maybe he's intending to go for like a surprise effect. They appear to be tearing down the furnace and stuff. The timer is ticking down. The round is about to end. And StealthStrike spawns into witches. Those witch spawnings came from a loot chest from round 2. And the team is noticed the witches digging now, they're falling down and they can now easily knock it off. Spawn safety is really high in the early stages of the game, so the witches don't appear to be a problem. And in fact, they noticed the witches way before the witches even noticed them. There's now a fight going on, one of the witches is dead and the other one is being knocked around and also died. It does look like vegguid took a poison potion in the process. But of course he can just stay in the spawn zone where he is completely safe. You only really get danger if you walk out of the spawn zone or if spawn safety ends. StealthStrike really does like his tunnels, doesn't he? He's like a really long one here. And meanwhile Zorok has been also gathering resources. He's now made armor and shields and stuff for his teammates. And also found diamonds earlier. And he apparently also found lava. Not sure why he put that there. But you don't always have to mine for resources. There's also loot chests which spawn every round for both teams. We've had already creeper spawnings. We've had cave spiders and witches. We saw those before. And redstone and pistons. And this round we got fire charges. Oh. And StealthStrike just got hit by Zorok, I think? Foundry fire is enabled. So yeah, accidents like those can happen. But that does mark the first bit of damage on either team. This round we got TNT minecarts and both teams are now looking into the arena for the new chest. This is a pretty big chest though with lots of unstackable items which will spam your inventory. And it looks like the Stroopwafels are now using the strategy to place down and break the minecart to split it into the minecart itself and the TNT block, which means that you can stack the TNT blocks much more easily in your inventory. Which will certainly help out with managing all the different items that you get in this game. We are now later on in the same arena still, but Zorok has put on more lava across the pond, creating like this little bridge. And on the other side he's filling in water, like lots of it. Creating like a big river next to the spawn zone. I'm not sure what the purpose of it is. Maybe it's to steer the opponent team in the other direction for a future trap. Or maybe he's just telling me that he actually wants to play on the burning desert arena, which has also such a river next to the spawn zone. Meanwhile, in round 6 we've had bows and arrows in the chest. Those can be very useful for defending yourself against mobs, like the witches that we saw earlier spawned. Zorok is now digging a little hole in the front, maybe for a trap. Yes, he's putting down TNT. But it doesn't have much time to ignite it. There goes fire! But it doesn't do anything. The fire is not lighting the TNT and the Stroopwafels can just easily walk out. Don't even notice that there's any danger at all. Because the fire tick is disabled, so I don't think that fire will ever ignite the TNT. The little wall that StealthStrike made not long ago has been getting quite a few reforms. The Stroopwafels have been building on it, and now StealthStrike has added it again through a torch onto the pressure plate. Maybe he's hoping that the other team will pick the torch up and trigger something, but of course then the other team will still way be inside of the spawn zone. Zorok is digging stuff, and now StealthStrike as well. This round we of course had another loot chest. This time it had zombified piglins. We've been getting lots of mobs in the loot chests over the past few rounds. It'll be only a matter of time before the teams will be spawning those in and creating a lot of chaos. But of course, both teams also have weapons and armor now. And StealthStrike appears to now have a different trap in mind, digging more blocks underground. He's only got a handful of seconds left. There's now a redstone torch inverting the signal, and he put on TNT and now walking away. So yes, it does look like the intention here is just a single explosion. The effectiveness of that remains to be seen, as the Stroopwafels are now walking in, being a bit confused with all these pressure plates. And now destroy it. That's a bit risky. It triggers a trap, but of course they're still way inside the spawn zone. And no damage dealt there. They can easily walk out and get the loot chest for this round, which is Illager spawn eggs. Another very dangerous mob. Those axes can do a lot of damage. And the roleplayers have certainly not been taking a break. They've been flooding a big portion of the front of the arena already. I still don't know what this is going to be for. There's no danger yet for the Stroopwafels, which just came into the arena looking around. I'm sure that they are about as confused as I am. And according to the chest, which conveniently spawned very close to spawn and contains the brewing materials. But this is certainly a very impressive effort, and I've never seen any strategy like this before. But the Stroopwafels didn't just sit down either. They've been gathering lots of materials and now are also spawning into Vindicators just to taunt the other team a bit. They don't form any immediate danger. The Vindicators are just looking at one another. But the roleplayers are taking no risk here, walking a big distance away from them, because they know that those axes can do a lot of damage. And despite there having been a lot of traps so far, there hasn't been much damage at all. Veghelgumi only took a little bit of fall damage. In the next round though, the Stroopwafels now have to face their own mobs, which I've been wandering around a bit and have not at all been attacking the roleplayers. I do have bows and arrows though, so this Illager here gets killed pretty quickly. But there's still another one a bit back here. MineCrp appears to not notice it, runs straight past it. Now he notices it and has to back away as his teammates are here to cover his back. That's some pretty efficient way to deal with these Vindicators. StealthStrike has now finished constructing the wall in front of spawn again. He's now putting it on fire with his fire charges. I wonder though if that will do any danger, because it's not in the way of anything. So I have to see what they intend to do with this. I guess more fire there. But there's no danger for the Stroopwafels who are coming in right now. But they of course don't know that yet. Testing out the pressure plates to see if they do anything. Could have been risky if those pressure plates were actually hooked up, but they aren't. So they can safely walk out into the arena. But they are taking the necessary care and now putting out the rest of the flames. They can get the loot chest. Last time you had zombies and now you have spiders. And it's also getting nights. So the zombies and spiders might actually become very useful. And if you look at the other arena, the roleplayers have been creating a huge scene now, covering the entire front of the arena. And there's a little gap here in the middle, which is a pressure plate. It does nothing, I'm not sure why it is there. And the water is also actually flowing into the spawn zone here, creating a lot of noise because it keeps getting broken again. Nothing is allowed to go inside the spawn zone, not even water. But I don't think the point of this is to make a noise machine. The point is up here. Zorok is creating a little structure. And spawned in a zombie. They got the zombies from round 11, the loot chest. The sea is ever growing. I think the point of this is actually to slow down the other team, make it more difficult to come into the arena. But Zorok also has other plans. He's got spawn eggs, and now placing a dispenser and also a little wall to protect himself from whatever's coming out of there. Now doesn't need to reach the dispenser too. And there we go, there's a lever. Both teams have just been saving up on mob spawn eggs. We've had many in the loot chest, but only 2 Vindicators were spawned a few rounds ago, and they did absolutely nothing. Zorok now changing his mind again, building more structure around. StealthStrike is also writing a message. And there we go, zombies coming in. Lots of them, a horde of them, and also an evoker. Ooh, and those vexes come close, and yes, hit Zorok. Got hit by his own mobs, and now the Stroopwafels have to deal with his evoker. And actually can do it quite easily with their bows and arrows, while they are still safe inside the spawn zone. They still have to get around these zombies though. And the vexes which are still there, now dying off. Now getting really close to the team. Spawn safety is running low, and MineCrp just took a lot of damage there. I think from a drown. And now they're swimming out. They are a bit lucky that the zombies are pretty slow in the water. Maybe the sea was not a very good idea. Because now they can just shoot them dead from a safe distance. Well, more of them are converting into drowned. But the trap did have effect. The damage that MineCrp took. Ooh, that was from an arrow from vegguid. There's another instance of friendly fire in this game. The other arena now, StealthStrike is now up on the wall. Both looking at what they can. Zorok spawns in the creeper. It almost blows up, but he manages to block it off just in time. The creeper is now hidden underground. They might be able to do some damage if the Stroopwafels also decide to go underground and only just find the creeper. StealthStrike has built the dirt platform and then another stone platform above that. Maybe he can add something to the creeper trap that Zorok built. There were skeletons in the loot chest this round, and StealthStrike is now putting them to use, spawning several of them in. And in the other arena, MineCrp built a long bridge to the spawn zone. He's looking to do something as well. And spawns in his own skeleton. The roleplayers can't see them yet from the spawn zone, but they also have other things to worry about, like these drowned. Stroopwafels are indeed digging underground. They find the creeper, but the creeper walks away. The skeletons are all fighting one another now. So they aren't really a problem. Oh, one actually hits MineCrp there, sniped from just a little hole. The roleplayers are meanwhile swimming into the arena. I can't see where the skeleton is right now. They're still shooting at the drowned. But there's another skeleton shooting at Zorok, missing him twice now. And now finally Zorok notices they have to fight it off with the shield, and StealthStrike luckily comes to his rescue. The Stroopwafels are now digging quite a way. The creeper is still there, but there's of course still a barricade, so the creeper can't reach them. Still have a long way to go though. The roleplayers now finally see the 2 remaining skeletons that the Stroopwafels had hidden, and are now sniping them down from a safe distance. The Stroopwafels have now resurfaced. They are behind the little hill, so the skeletons can't see them. And they now have a chance to look for the new loot chest, which contains slime, cobwebs and ender pearls. Those are the kinds of things you want to share with your team, because ender pearls can save you in dangerous situations. Talking about dangerous situations, there's a skeleton that shoots MineCrp and is going for him. Veghelgumi takes quick work of that, but that's more health lost for MineCrp. That's too harsh. He's lucky he has armor, because without it he probably would have been dead by now. He's now learned his lesson though, putting all kinds of blocks around. There's also a dispenser placed down here, so it looks like they also want to add their own mobs into the mix. And on the other arena, Zorok has flooded more of the arena and the entire spawn zone with water and put down more Vindicators. They are now jumping into the water, and vegguid sees and tries to attack it. MineCrp's trying to dig down, swim underwater, swim underneath all of these Vindicators. And now it looks like they managed to get their way out. Vegguid spawned in a lot of skeletons, but those are now burning in the daylight, and the roleplayers are simply digging underground now. The roleplayers are still stuck underground, digging towards the surface. Now there's still lots of skeletons around though, and one of them fell into the hole, attacked StealthStrike, and now took a half a heart, and well, 1.5 heart actually, from his health. And now with some teamwork and the shield they managed to kill it off. And that's even more damage on that team. The Stroopwafels have now both two team members closed into a hole, both with dispensers, and one of them is spawning in witches and zombified piglins and more things, I think. The other one isn't spawning in anything. It's going to be interesting to see what the roleplayers do with this. The mobs are still up there though. They haven't jumped out or spread across the arena like mobs normally do. And it looks like the roleplayers can just safely swim into the rest of the round. There are still some creepers around though. They were spawned by veghelgumi. But they can easily get rid of those. Fun fact about entrapment, the loot chests can't spawn in water. So because the roleplayers have flooded the arena, all the chests are spawning back here. And just accumulating now. The roleplayers are actively emptying them now. The chest of this round contains lava buckets, so it can be useful, but not if the entire arena is filled with water. We'll see if they try to expand on their project. Oh, that's lava that turns to obsidian. Oh, and now they see the mobs and they just explode all over the arena. There's so many mobs out there now. It can be super dangerous for the Stroopwafels who will have to face their own mobs, but right now they are all coming for StealthStrike. The piglins are super angry, but Entrapment has universal anger, so those pigmen will also be angry at the Stroopwafels next round. And meanwhile, StealthStrike and Zorok are both getting themselves to safety. StealthStrike is still up there, starts fishing. That's an odd strategy. There's still an evoker down there. These evokers have range and also a witch, but I don't think the potion of the witch can reach that high. Zorok's still watching from a safe distance. It does seem to be somewhat successful at getting the zombified piglins a bit closer to spawn. So that maybe they are a bit more dangerous to the Stroopwafels, who are coming to right now to this massive mobs. The evoker immediately summons Vex and MineCrp tries to dig down and away from the mob, but it gets killed by the evoker fangs. It didn't have much health to spare, now it's entirely gone. The fangs are also going for vegguid. He's still in spawn safety, but he has to find a way out. Trying to build a barricade, but of course the Vex and the fangs both can go through blocks. So that might not be very helpful. Although now they can try to get rid of all the water to dig down. But the water is still in the way. vegguid was on full health at the start of this round, the only person left. But now he's got so much damage. And the evoker is still summoning. The roleplayers is coming in. They can't get out anymore. They have to get rid of the water. Digging a really long tunnel down. The Vexes are still there. They have to be really careful. But it seems that the Vexes are a bit neutralized now. They are super lucky to be able to get away from this, having to dig so far down into the ground. And they'll be stuck down here for the rest of the round. And MineCrp's items are not just up for grabs, there's even diamonds in there still. We are still in round 18. The Stroopwafels are now stuck underground. They are surrounded by a skeleton on one side and a creeper on another. Meanwhile, the loot chests are just piling up here. The most recent ones include shulkers and endermites and also TNT. Speaking of which, they're placing some down right now and also set it on fire. It looks like a desperate attempt to me to get at least some damage done for the roleplayers. But of course they are still way inside the spawn zone and it doesn't do much to me. They have a simple way out, which I dug in previous rounds. Now finding way back up. There's a skeleton, gets a hit on StealthStrike, gets another hit on it, and now they're trying to dodge it, and now another hit on StealthStrike. Didn't use the shield properly. And now the skeleton is becoming quite a problem. They don't have an easy way to kill it. And backing off, using shields. Got Zorok as well. I'm not sure if it took damage there. And another skeleton just committed suicide, but meanwhile the Zorok is strafing back into their own hole and closing it back up again. That was an unfortunate waste of health there, and the roleplayers now need to be careful not to lose their health advantage. They currently only have 2 hearts in total more than the Stroopwafels. We have now reached round 20. The last 2 loot chests have been pretty powerful. We have had blazes and now infested blocks. However, I wonder if either team will be able to get those chests, because as you can see, both arenas are now pretty filled with mobs and very hard to cross. The Stroopwafels are now forced to use the tunnel that the roleplayers used. However, the roleplayers have trapped it, there's a creeper inside, and now they use TNT to block it off, which I find an odd choice of block for that. But they now managed to get themselves to safety, and they will probably be sitting this round out, just like any other. Do the Stroopwafels still want to set up a trap? They've been here for a while and just digging around a bit. There's now a pressure plate, which is able to redstone torch down below. But they need to hook it up to something, they don't have much time for that. The vegguid held TNT there, and veghelgumi has also got some blazes. What do they want to do? Well, there's a blaze right next to him, that's a bit careless. But the blaze is now on a pressure plate, but it's not hooked up to anything. And the roleplayers now have to face again these skeletons. The blaze is not really a problem because he's right in the spawn zone. The skeletons are more in the way. Oh, meanwhile the Stroopwafels are under fire by a lot more blazes. And are swimming through the water. I have to find some shelter. The water will save him from most of the damage from the blaze, but it didn't prevent some damage from veghelgumi there. Now I have a little enclosure. As meanwhile the roleplayers are also running into the arena. There's lots of skeletons around though. They're shooting at Zorok. And barely misses him. Another skeleton. Again misses StealthStrike. They can now make it across a bridge. There's no mobs on the other side. And Zorok finds himself a hiding spot. The chest for this round contains spider spawn eggs. We've seen it just before. And that's because we're in round 21 already. And there are only 20 loot chests in the game. It's actually spawned on top of the bridge for the Stroopwafels. So this means that the cycle of loot chests has reset. And the veghelgumi has to back off. They're both underwater. They decided to go underground anyway. Their little adventure above ground proved to be too dangerous after all. And now they have nowhere to go. There's no way for them to get that chest that's on top of the bridge now anymore. But I'm not sure if they will miss out on that, because they already have a lot of spawn eggs already. Zorok's making his way back to the front. He's up to something, I think. There's still a blaze over there though. Firing and managed to place dirt just in time. It's on fire now. But it's in the way of getting... Oh, and StealthStrike sniped it from a huge distance with amazing accuracy. Just 3 shots is what it took to kill that blaze. And now Zorok can get rid of all the rest of the skeletons. While StealthStrike does have a chance to get the loot chest. And the Zorok does want to set up something at the spawn. There's still a skeleton though, and misses him again. He hasn't noticed it though, and now he isn't so lucky. He has to back off again. There's another skeleton still under the tree. StealthStrike is in a much safer position. Oh, and also spawns in his own blazes. Probably had some left over still from last round. And Zorok spawns 2 in as well. Looks like they're going for the same strategy as last round to hinder the Stroopwafels. And now the Stroopwafels are playing it safe. Seem to be taking their time down. Impossible to get out on the surface. They do still have the trap that they failed to set up last time when they only spawned in the blaze. Maybe they can make something of it this time while they are in captivity at the spawn zone here. And they are expanding on their hole again. The roleplayers are also again underground. The other arena is flooded, but they still have that hiding hole next to spawn. vegguid is now underground. Vegguid spawns in the blaze. It immediately wanders off the pressure plate, making it maybe less useful. And figuring out what to do. You can see that the torch is turned on, which means there's nothing on the pressure plate. The blaze has now flown into the world border. What can they do opening back up again? Killing off the blaze now, it's a bit of a waste of a spawn. I can almost hit vegguid actually. Luckily there's still a block in the way. But blazes aren't the cheapest mobs. They can be very dangerous, so this is quite a waste of a spawn egg in my opinion. What can it do instead? You have to find a way to make some use of this trap. StealthStrike is very low on health, so a single bit of damage could turn this into a 1v2. But of course, the Stroopwafels both also still have really low health. There's still those creepers though from, well, a few rounds ago. And now a skeleton this time. This time it's properly locked up, so that they can't walk away. And I'm hooking up the TNT, but they put it next to the redstone dust, the lights are on fire, and they have nowhere to go! And finally it is over. They lasted so long, but they died to their own traps. And they actually did survive the first blast there, but it didn't matter. The roleplayers who were still in their hiding hole, their waiting has paid off, because after 22 rounds and over an hour of playtime, they win the first ever game of the Entrapment Fan Tournament. And that of course puts the roleplayers on top of the scoreboard provisionally. Let's get a first reaction from them. How did it go? You won your first game!
You know, we had it in the bags. Soul's a runner-up from the last match, and he taught me everything he knew.
Yeah.
Well, it did still take 22 rounds.
Well, see, Soul's...
Oh, it was...
Soul, wasn't your patented strategy hide in the corner until they die?
Well, yeah, so after a certain point, both of the arenas were so messed up that we just decided to hide.
Yeah, but you did still try and make some traps while also hiding. I saw some creepers being placed inside the little holes.
Yep,
Yeah.
Soul almost killed us at one point.
I swear it was half a second or like a quarter of a second from blowing up. We were freaking out.
So we had this patented
But it was
strat
good.
from the one time we played, where I built like a bar across the top of the front of the arena, and then placed blazes up there, and we obliterated whoever we were playing against. This was like a year and a half ago. So I tried to do the same thing this time with witches, and it didn't work. Disappointing.
But yeah.
Ah. And you also flooded the entire arena? What was the plan behind that?
Yeah.
Oh, we were hoping to get depth striders, because basically we just shark people all the time, but we couldn't find any depth striders, so fishing didn't work out too well.
Ah, so it'd be way faster to get out of the spawn zone.
Yeah, and I mean, like the whole, like my idea behind it was like, it just makes it so like the mobs are harder to hit, it's harder to move, it's just like annoying, you know?
Yeah.
The depth strider thing was a reference to a game we used to play. We used to like always like water PvP people with depth striders.
Depth striders would have been good. Fishing didn't really pan out though.
I caught a fish and a piece of leather. There was one point where I was fishing rodding the zombie pigman closer to like the spawn, and Soul goes, "You're literally playing with fire," and I go, "It's fine."
It was pretty good.
I do think we got lucky that the other team blew themselves up though.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was quite the ending. Let's go to the Stroopwafels. What happened at the end there? How did you blow yourself up?
So what was happening? Okay, I am completely innocent. What was happening? We were making a trap where you have a skeleton, which when it gets killed, it blows up a lot of TNT. But I am incredibly brilliant, so I placed, like we had an inverter, which would get a pressure plate, would invert it. But I placed one of the TNTs next to the redstone, which was getting inverted. So it blew up. And yeah, that killed both me and Midas, which is mildly sad.
It was very sad to see you go that way. You held out for so long.
Yeah. Yeah, that was unfortunate.
It was unfortunate, but like I feel like the the lesson to take here, like I don't know how, but like we all died to our own traps. We couldn't counter that trap, and we couldn't counter our own trap as well.
Oh yeah, most of the damage that to me was done by the mobs I placed myself. So yeah, very good teamwork.
But like I gotta say that strategy, even though they probably had none, was really good. With the water and all that stuff.
Yeah, the whole arena was flooded with water.
And that was really annoying, which was really great.
It was really annoying. I gotta admit it.
Useful if you just swim out.
Any last words from either team?
I hope the other teams schedule their matches so we can play against other people.
Yeah.
It's not my fault. It's vegguid.
Yeah, I take some of the blame here. Yeah, I blew
All of
it.
them.
We learn our lesson from this first game, and hopefully when the other two games come, we'll do better.
Do not blow ourselves up.